Hello and welcome, everybody. I'm Elizabeth, and this is your fourth training call in the Platinum Program Secrets program. I want to say welcome to you, and I'm really super excited because today we are going to be talking about launch, how to launch your program and creating a really heartfelt enrollment strategy for your programs. So this is going to be a really juicy call. Couple of announcements, and then we'll dive right in here. You'll see on your downloads area, we have a whole bunch of stuff uploaded for you. This call is really, really content rich. We're going to be covering, how to get in front of people and actually how to do the enrollment process. So there's a lot of information here and a lot of handouts for you. I'll ask you to just relax, take it all in. There's no rush. Please, if you feel yourself going into overwhelm, just step out of that and say, I'm not going to play that game today, all right? And just know that all the information is here for you, and lots and lots of done-for-you handouts as well. So they're all posted on the members area for you, and you'll see them there. Also, we are getting the online launch kit ready for you. It's not quite ready yet, but it will be ready for you by the end of the week. And meantime, there's plenty up there for you to get started with the handouts that we have. So rest assured, all of that is coming. And we also have, I've got my notes here from my awesome business manager, Shar, who says that we've got transcripts available as well, which is great. Our next call, our fifth training call, is taking place next week on Tuesday, November 20th, and that is how to deliver a high-end program that your clients will never forget in just a few hours per month. So that's coming next Tuesday, November 20th at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. And just a couple quick notes on the phone lines and on the webcast. If you are using your phone line and you're experiencing connection problems, really the best thing to do is to hang up and dial back in. And another option, if you do have problems with the connection, is to listen via the webinar link that was sent to you this morning in the reminder email. You can go where it says click here to listen in, or you can choose to connect via the web or click here to listen by phone. All right, the phone call-in numbers are there. So calling in on a different line almost always resolves any connection issues. If you have any questions, just, of course, contact the team at teamgoddess@marketinggoddess.com. I don't think we've had a lot of problems, but I think there's probably been a couple, so Shar made a point to put that down here today. And finally, I want to share with you something really exciting, if you haven't heard already. I've got a brand new program starting today, and this is my gift to you. This is my holiday season early gift to you. The program is called the Feminine Magic Master Class, and tonight at 4 p.m. Pacific, we start with the first of 5 classes in the series, and I invite you all to attend as my gift to you. And you get to sit in on all the live classes, and we have online replays available through the end of December in case you miss any. And you'll have the opportunity to invest in MP3s and stuff too if you want to do that. You can find out more and register for free by going to www.femininemagicmasterclass.com, or you can contact my team for more information as well. Okay, so you guys have been doing a fantastic job. Some of you have been following along and doing the homework with me, and I just want to acknowledge and celebrate you for taking bold action toward creating and launching your programs. And some of you have already started getting new clients, which is fantastic. So let me just take a second and quickly recap what we've covered so far. So far, you've uncovered your compelling core offer, and you've started to create a signature system. You decided what you're going to create your program around. Many of you have already designed your first or next high-end program, and you've learned how to price your program and how to accept payments in a way that's really credible and guarantees your cash flow. So now we're ready to launch your program. And in this call, we're talking about creating your enrollment strategy. This is about designing your system to generate leads for your program, your strategy for getting people to raise their hand and say, yes, I'm interested. Now, there's lots of different ways to do it, and there are a lot of moving pieces, but I'm really breaking this down and making it as simple and streamlined as possible for you. Now, you'll find that we're actually not doing a whole lot of things here. It's actually pretty simple. So you're going to see the steps as we go through our call today. And I'm also going to talk about the enrollment conversation, like what do you actually, there's a special enrollment conversation process, an interview process that we're going to cover today as well. Now, as you all know, I love to start with mindset, so let's talk about the mindset you want to have as you're launching and filling your programs. This is a really specific energy that you want to bring to the entire enrollment process. Now, I want to bring you back to the fact that your high-end program isn't just any other program, right? It's not a regular coaching program or regular one-on-one sessions. This is a high-end program. This is an investment. It's a commitment, not just for them, but for you. And what that means is that not everyone is a fit for your program. Your services are not for everyone, okay? And you want to be in the mindset of choosing. And you want the mindset that if it's not right for either of you, then it's okay. They're not supposed to be in your world. You don't want them as a client. Now, I know that might seem a little radical, and that might feel hard when you're not feeling confident or you're not getting clients or whatever it's going on. This will really invite you to step into abundant thinking, and it's an opportunity, and it also is a shift in the way that you look at your services. It's an up-leveling, all right? So you are in the mindset of choosing. Not everyone is a fit. And when you do that, you'll be amazed at how people step up and also how quickly you attract the right kinds of people, all right? So we'll talk about that a little bit more as we go along, especially about, what does it mean to be a fit or not a fit. But I really want to invite you to have that mindset of choosing, even when you're like, where are the clients? Having that mindset of this is valuable, this is an elevated experience, I'm choosing my clients. This will completely shift your energy, all right? Completely shift your energy, and that's the energy you want to have throughout your whole program. So there are 4 specific tools that you're going to need to enroll your program. You're going to need an invitation letter. You'll need an application, an interview process of some kind, and an enrollment form. And this is a form with your payment terms, your agreement, space for their payment information. Now, you have all examples of all of these in your done-for-you materials, okay? Here's the basic launch process. This is the 4-step process that attracts serious, willing to invest clients, okay? Your launch always starts with some kind of lead-generating event. I really don't like that phrase, lead generating, very much, but we don't have anything better. So you need to generate leads for your program. You're getting people to raise their hands. So you're going to have some kind of an event, a way to do that. And I'm going to give you 4 strategies. There's 4 different possibilities here. Really, honestly, like all variations on high-end program launching gets down to these 4 strategies. Like there aren't any more than this, all right? They are hand inviting, an email campaign, a teleseminar, or in-person speaking. So whatever this lead generation event is, it leads to your letter and your application, which leads to your interview, which leads to your offer, which leads to your paperwork and your payment. So let's talk about the letter and application for a second. This is the strategy that practically guarantees that you only get ideal clients. Why do we do it? Well, you do it because it positions you very strongly. It positions you for higher fees. It tells people that you're serious, that you don't work with just anybody, right? See the extension of the mindset of choosing? Also, the program is really juicy and attractive, and you can do a lot with positioning your program in your letter and your application. Another reason why is your time. You're only talking to people who want to be in your program, and you're cutting out some of the work, right, in the conversation. Actually, this is a really important point. When you give people a letter and an application ahead of time, you're actually cutting down on some of the work that you would be doing in a conversation if they just didn't know you, right? They get to see all that ahead of time, all right? And also, when you use a letter and application, your candidates are very highly qualified. They've requested the application and the letter. They know this is a program. They know it's an investment. They're already invested, especially when they fill out that application. And you'll see that there are things in that letter that really call people forward and qualify them. So this is your screening process. why I love this strategy, and it really, really works beautifully. Now, there are some times where you're going to skip that step of having them apply, and you're just going to go straight to an enrollment conversation, like a breakthrough session, something like that. You can absolutely fill these programs out of breakthrough sessions. Absolutely. That's another way to do it. Oftentimes that will be the case when your investment is a little bit lower, or else if you're offering a VIP day, right? Now, in that case, the process would look like this. You would have some kind of lead-generating event. That would lead to a conversation, which leads to your offer and your paperwork and payment. So your letter and application are like it's a different way to be in conversation with people, all right? Now, when you do this, if you're going to have breakthrough sessions, you're still going to qualify people by having them answer some questions before they get into conversation with you, all right? You're still going to have screening questions, and you'll see that in the examples that I have for you in the Done For You materials. Now, there's one more variation on this, and it works beautifully. And I've got to be really transparent here. Every time I teach this stuff, I go, oh, my gosh, there's all these different ways. You can do a letter and application. You can do a breakthrough conversation. You can do this third way. You know, which way should I tell them? And you'll see some mentors who basically present one way as that's the only way. And I find that is not of service to you because the answer is it really depends, all right? It really depends. There's different ways to do it, and I'm giving you the different ways. And as we go, I'm going to share, you know, which ways are good for specific situations, all right? So here's the last way to do it, and this works really well, okay? Now, I love the letter and the application because it does qualify people. It gives people information up front. They are very highly qualified. They have already done some of their decision making before they get in that conversation with you. All right? I cannot underestimate or understress or the importance of that. All right? Now, what you can do is if you are doing a lead generation event, if you're doing like, you know, an email campaign, whatever it is, or, you know, a teleseminar, and you're offering breakthrough sessions, in that breakthrough session, instead of offering your program directly, that next step can be an invitation to apply. And I have several clients who've done this very successfully. They'll do a little strategy session campaign, and in those strategy sessions, they get really deep with people for, 40 minutes or so. And at the end, instead of just offering their program, they offer the opportunity to apply for their program. And what's beautiful about that is, first of all, almost everyone takes them up on it. Like, oh, yeah, I'm going to apply for that program, all right? And then when they come back for that interview, they're in, all right? Really, really good way to do it if you kind of want a hybrid of the two methods, okay? This works really, really well when you're meeting people for the first time and they may not know you very well. See, one of these things that a lot of mentors don't share that kind of I find doesn't get talked about, but it's so important, is you want to be aware that there is a cycle, there is a process that people go through from having just met you to investing with you. And that process can be longer or shorter, kind of depending on where people are. It's really fuzzy. So, some people they'll just go straight into stepping into your program. Some people are like that. Other people need more time, and you want to keep them in that energy of getting to know you and staying connected with the value of the program. And this sort of two-step, two-conversation method is a great way to do that if they're just getting to know you for the first time. Most of the time when people are just getting to know you for the first time, they need a little extra time. Not always, but sometimes they do. And this is a way that can really support you. All right? And like I said, when people do that two-step, like they go into a breakthrough session first and then the invitation to apply, and then they apply, by that time, like it's very, very high conversion rate. Okay? All right. And also, I'll say the last thing I'll say about this for now, for the higher investment programs, you do want to have them apply. You really do want to have them apply. You want to have that letter and application because, and by high investment, I'm talking, $8,000, $10,000. This isn't a stick of chewing gum, right, that people are buying, right? And you want to give people a lot of information and have a lot of anticipation before getting to that conversation, Okay? So let's talk about lead generating events. We got 4 of them, remember. The first is hand inviting, and that's the one that I recommend everyone start with. You always want to do this. And honestly, every time I fill a new program, like even now, I hand invite. Okay? So hand inviting is one of those ways that I filled my programs early on, and everyone can do it, and it never stops. And the reason why is because there's always people in your sphere who are right candidates. And it's really about making the decision that they're there and thinking about, who would make a great candidate for this program. And you reach out and invite them to get more information and apply. And when you've had a lot of conversations with people over time about, you've met them at networking events, or maybe you had a breakthrough session with them or something and they didn't say yes for whatever reason, these are people you can all go back to and say, you know what, this would be really good for you. So the basic conversation around hand inviting is this. You're saying to them, I've got this new thing, and it allows me to work with people in a new way that I'm really excited about. And when I thought about who I might like to have in this program or who might want one of these spots, I thought of you immediately, and I'd love to have a conversation with you about it. I mean, that is so straight up sincere. And coming from a very heartfelt, very detached place, you can hear how non-pushy that is. Not pushy at all. That's the big worry that people have is this being pushy? Or people are going to think I'm chasing them. No. What they're actually going to be thinking is, wow, she thought of me, or he thought of me. People really love that. It speaks to them, and you can even work that into your language. You can say, when I thought about all the people, all my past clients, who I thought I would love to work with and who would benefit from this, I thought of you. And they're going to feel chosen. And you really want to create that energy of feeling chosen, because that's what you're doing. Really lands with people. One of my mentors, she always has someone in mind when she's designing a program. And I recommend that you have that you do that as well. A little tip for you. And she's not shy about the people that she has in mind. And she'll even say, I designed this program with you in mind. She said that to me once, years ago. And I was like, oh, yay. Really makes people feel special. Now, what you're doing here is you're asking them to request more information, your letter and your application. Okay? That's what you're doing. Can I give you more information about this? And people will most often say yes. They're curious. Now, one question I always get is, do you do this via the phone or email? And the answer is you can do either one, but I would be picking up the telephone. It's really great to connect with people, too. Like, pick up the telephone, okay? One last thing on mindset here is that when you're doing this hand enrolling, you're not pestering or pushing or selling. You're giving people an opportunity. You're choosing and you're giving people an opportunity. This is an opportunity for someone to find out more. This is an opportunity for them to get this awesome transformation, right? Okay, so everyone can do hand inviting, and my request is for each and every one of you is to think of 3 people. I'll give you one of your assignments early here. Think of 3 people that you can hand invite, all right? And you're going to invite them to your program this week, okay? All right. Okay. In your handouts, I have a very simple email for hand inviting, and there are a couple different versions. You can either offer information about your program or invite them into a breakthrough session. I would have that letter and application and offer them information on your program, okay? All right, the second lead-generating event is an email campaign. Email campaigns work beautifully to fill your programs. They're fun, they're simple, they're not that much work. Now, here's what you do need to have in order for them to work. You need to be in regular communication with your list. The email campaign, and really no launch is going to be effective if you haven't been emailing people regularly, all right? You can email people one-on-one. That's hand inviting, same thing. But even if you have a small list, if you've been in communication with them, an email campaign is a great way to go. I had a client last year, and for most of the time that she worked with me, I laughed because she reminded me of myself. She had a very, very small list of like 100 people. But she was emailing them all the time, and they were answering her, and, she had this great response from them, this ongoing conversation. So she would do these email campaigns, and she would get clients every time, all right? Now, there are a couple different ways to do this. And the content of your email will vary slightly depending on whether you're inviting them to apply or you're inviting them into a breakthrough session. Those are your two options. And in your online launch kit, I'll have examples of both, okay? So you can do an email campaign to get people into breakthrough sessions, very, very common. And in your handouts that you've got up there right now, there's a strategy session campaign you'll see. It's really straightforward. You want to send, you're doing a little mini launch. This is actually true for both of these cases. You're doing a little mini launch where you're sending an email going, all right, I got something coming, and then you open the doors and give them the opportunity, and then, you say last chance. All right, and that, I like to do that out over about a period of a week. Very, very quick, very rapid, okay? All right, so that's one thing you can do is an email campaign to get breakthrough sessions. And then another variation of this is to, again, invite people to apply. So you can send people to an opt-in page with your letter and have them download the application, or have them email your assistant and have your assistant send out the letter and the application. Is one better than the other? Well, one is more work than the other. Putting in an opt-in page with the application can be some work. One little hint, though, that opt-in page is essentially like the letter for your program, okay? And you'll have an example of that in the Done For You online launch kit, all right? Now, in both cases, here's the key with this. Here's the key. If you're inviting people to download the application, what does that give you the opportunity to do? It gives you the opportunity to follow up. You can send follow-up emails encouraging them to fill out the application. You can reach out to them by telephone and say, what inspired you to download the application? Now, you want to be aware that more people are going to request the letter and application than will fill it out because they're curious about the program, all right? And so that's okay. But you have a great opportunity for follow-up there, all right, when people are downloading the application and the letter. That's why I love that particular way to do it. Now, finally, I included this again so you have another example of a possibility here. There's an email in your notes or in your handouts that I use to fill a particular program, and you'll see in that email, it's one of my favorites I've ever written, actually. You'll see in that email that I'm basically inviting people to apply for the program. Like, I'm really straight up about it. People are going they were going directly into a conversation with me, but there are some screening questions in there. That's really important. You want to always have screening questions. Even if you're inviting people into breakthrough sessions, you're always giving them screening questions. All right? Let's see. So one more thing on email for now. Email is still one of the very best ways to market your business and to fill your programs, especially high-end programs. People fixate on passive income and all that. But honestly, if the only reason why you are communicating with your list is so you could easily fill your high-end programs, it would be more than worth it to do the weekly or biweekly communication, all right, that you're going to do with them. All right. So hand inviting, an email launch, and then there's the teleseminar or a preview call. This is where you're doing a teleseminar and you're giving lots of content. And at the end of that teleseminar, you're making an invitation. And again, what are your two options? You can either invite them to download the letter and the application, and in that case, you would be sending people to an opt-in page, or you can offer breakthrough sessions, right? But in either way, your teleseminar, and in your teleseminar, your offer is the next step to apply for your program. Now, again, a couple tips here on time frame. I would keep the launch time frame pretty short. I would be looking at filling your call over like a week to 10 days, and then you give your call and you have a really short time frame for them to download and fill out the application. And I would have it be about a week. And you want to let people know the deadline. Really important. You always have a deadline, and you keep that deadline pretty short. Part of the reason why you're doing this is because you're creating momentum for yourself. Okay, you're creating momentum for yourself. It's really hard to maintain the energy and excitement and momentum where, you're emailing people for 2 weeks to get them to fill out the application, right? Now, you also want to have enough people on your list to make it worth your while. I would say to have the minimum number of people on your list be about 500 people. And here's why that number came to mind. You're going to have to get people on the call, and then from the call, get them to download the application. So if you start with a list of 500, you can aim to get 100 or above on the preview call, and then, 20 or 30 will download the application, and you'll get, 3 to 4 clients out of that. All right, there's a numbers game to this, okay? And I think I've got this in my notes a little further on, but I'll share it with you now. When you're inviting people to download the letter and application, you're going to get a certain number of people download it, and it's about maybe 20% of that number of people who will actually return it. Now, the great news is that if you've done this all correctly, especially when you've got a great letter, you've been communicating with your people on a regular basis, you've got qualified people on your list, out of those 20% of those people who return it, you're going to have a lot of really qualified people in there. And the people who do return that application are going to be really easy to enroll. They're going to be really ideal clients. Okay? All right. A couple other tips on teleseminars here. You want to definitely provide at least one piece of juicy content that people can use right away. I love to include scripts. I love to include checklists of specific steps. And you want to save this one to the very end so that people stay on the line with you. And anytime you're doing a speaking gig, whether it's in a teleseminar call or in person, you don't want to wait until the very end to make your offer, all right? You don't want to wait to the end. On the phone, that means, you're saving one content point for the very end and you're making your offer in between, like, content point number 4 and content point number 5, all right? And then finally, so really, really important when you are doing teleseminars, after the call, you want to make sure that you have your follow-up sequence. So you want to have your follow-up emails ready to go. Right after that call is over, you want to send people an email that gives them instructions on whatever you want them to do. So if that's downloading the application, it's directing them to that page where they can download the application. If it's a breakthrough conversation or, breakthrough session, then you're sending an email saying, do this to claim your breakthrough session. All right? And include your deadline. And remember, you want to make your deadline be fairly short, about a week. And then you always want to follow up. So you send an email right after the call, and then an email the next day when you send out the recording, and then an email in the middle, and then an email the day before the deadline, and then an email the day of the deadline. Okay? And it's maybe more than you're used to, but actually people on that list, remember, they want this information. And they need to be reminded. People need to have multiple touches. And finally, I'll just say, yes, people wait until the last minute to sign up for things. They just wait till the last minute. It's just how people roll. Okay, so be ready for that. Okay, hand inviting, email, teleseminar. Our 4th lead generating event is speaking engagements and workshops. Speaking is great because you can just start doing it. I love it. It's like the power of self-appointment. You can start doing it no matter how much experience you have. And if you have a compelling topic, you can start getting speaking gigs. And when you are doing in-person speaking, this is one place where, 9 times out of 10, you're going to want to focus on getting people into those breakthrough conversations, okay, first. And the reason why is because in most cases, people don't know you very well unless it's your own event. Another reason why is because you're going to likely be on someone else's stage. And the most important reason is because, at a 2-hour speaking gig, you don't want to be making a high-end offer. People don't have enough information. They haven't spent enough time with you. So speaking engagements or speaking workshops that you're giving are a great way to connect with people in person. And when you start doing them, this is a way to bring new people into your world, not just for your program, but for your whole business. So, but it's only like a 2-hour or maybe 3-hour thing or even shorter. You can't present a high-end offer to people when they've met you for just 2 hours. All right? So what you can do instead is invite them to take the next step. Invite them into that strategy conversation on the telephone. And then depending on how you're doing your enrolling, you can either offer your program there on the telephone or you can invite them to apply at that point. All right? Really, really important. And again, the design of your talk is going to be very similar to a preview call. And if you're doing, say, a 60-minute talk, then about 40 minutes in, you'll be making that invitation for strategy sessions. All right? I've got some information on this in the VIP Day training as well. I went into a little bit on how to, structure your talk and how to make an invitation. So you want to listen to that. That's in your bonuses. All right? So a little more on workshops here. Workshops are really, really effective to fill your programs. We've all seen mentors do this, right? They're hosting like a 2-day workshop, something like that, and then they're filling their programs. Now, you're not offering your program at someone else's workshop, most likely, right? But in the case of a workshop, and that workshop is longer, that's when you would be making your offer from the stage. And in a case like that, like if you're doing a 2-day or a 3-day event, you would be making your offer from the stage, and you would be handing out your letter and application and enrollment form from the stage. And then they're actually filling in all the information, and they're giving you their credit card right there on the spot, or you're following up with them and you're having a brief interview. Now, this is an advanced strategy. I mention it here for completeness. Great advanced strategy. You've all seen mentors do this before. The one thing that you're going to want to have is additional training on how to make an offer from the stage. All right? Really, really important. Workshops they are super expensive, and people put them on because they're very effective at filling high-end programs, but they have to be longer. As I said, you don't want to offer a high-end program from anything less than a 2-day workshop, okay? And, again, this is because people need to have more time to get to know you, more time to experience you, all right? So if you're doing regular sort of 2-hour workshops, you want to get people into that breakthrough conversation or that breakthrough session. Okay. Let me take a little sip of water here. All right. So those are the basic lead generating events. And really, like all of your program gets down to, all of your programs you're going to fill, it's going to get down to one of these 4. Always down to one of these 4. And, you want to always start with hand inviting. I never give up hand inviting. I still do it, okay? All right. So let's talk a little bit about the letter. In our last session, I shared with you the Platinum Enrollment Letter worksheet, and I asked you to look that over, and I asked you to look over one of the letters that I had written for a past program that I filled, the Leverage and Leadership Program. And I just want to touch a little bit on what goes into this letter. And you'll see that the worksheet really steps you through the whole thing, all right? Now, the whole purpose of the letter is to pull people forward, position your program, and to invite them to apply. So in your letter, you go straight into it, right? You have an intro and a welcome. And you want to share who the program is for. Who is this for? What is the problem that the program solves? And why you created it. Why you created it, and why now. See, when you read my examples, you're going to see this. I put this program together for you because I see, talented spiritual women entrepreneurs who are holding back, or I believe that it's time for women entrepreneurs to step up, or whatever it is. There's a calling forward, okay? All right? And you want to give them that why now. And the whole energy behind it is you can do this. So have a little intro. And then right after that little intro, you want to share exactly how to apply. Exactly how to apply. And you can say, here's how to apply, or to be accepted into this program. And you want to describe the application process and, share if there's a link. Like usually what's in mine is I'll say, fill in the application and then go here to schedule your interview. And then you have a really, really strong call to action. And you want to be really upfront about why they cannot wait. Why they cannot wait. Deadline is there. to help people take action and actually get into action. And we'll talk more about this on empowered decision savings and that kind of thing. But my true belief is that it does not serve people to have them stay in their stuff for, however long. All right? So, okay. Then you go into what are they going to get in the program? What are the results and outcomes? All right? What are the results and outcomes? And I love to use bullet points when listing the results and the outcomes. You'll also see in my letters that sometimes I have a little bit of the leverage and leadership letter as well, especially I've got, like a little 2-page description of, here's the system and here's the results you're going to get. All right? You want to just stay out of how-to. You want to stay out of how-to. Make it very, very results-oriented. And then you share what's included in the program. So you go through all of the program components. And here's what's important about that. When you're listing your program components, you want to describe what the benefit is for them. So you're going to get a VIP day intensive where we will do XYZ so that you can PDQ, so that you can. What is that benefit? What are they going to get out of that program component, right? Because those components, no one cares about. What they care about is the result that they're going to get or the benefit that they're going to get from that component. And you go through each of those. And you want to list the bonuses if you have bonuses, and again, that's so you can. You have some benefit for each bonus. If you have pay in full bonuses, you put those in there. If you have deadline-driven bonuses, you put those in there. And I'm pretty sure that in my leverage and leadership letter, I have both of those things. You can see this modeled for you. Also throughout in your letter, you want to include testimonials. You want to actually include testimonials of people who've worked with you. Really, really effective and important so people can see that other people have gone through your work. Start with where you are, whatever testimonials you have. If you don't have any testimonials, ask yourself if you can get 2 or 3. And if not, don't worry about it, okay? But if you have testimonials, definitely want to include them. Okay. So after you've gone through the program components and you've gone through the bonuses, then you want to share, who is this a fit for? And this is great. Who is this a fit for? What are you doing here when you're talking about who is it a fit for? You are qualifying. Who are these people? It's a great opportunity for you to get crystal clear on who is the ideal candidate for your program. And who do they have to be? And who can't they be? What can't they be in order to qualify for this program? An exercise that I have, that I give out, is to make an ideal client checklist. Who are the people? What do they have to be? What are their characteristics that they have to have so that they, to have the privilege of working with you, right? Remember, in the mindset of choosing again. You can lay out very clearly how people need to be in order to step into working with you. And the beautiful thing about that is it pulls you forward and it pulls them forward. Because when people read this, and I remember the first time I received one of these letters, and it had this, this is a fit for you if, and, or who you are, however the lead-in is, it's like, wow, I'm sitting up straighter. So you're clear that you want more results. You are drama-free. You respect my time. You're serious about your mission. Like, whatever those things are, it's going to bring people up, really raise people up, okay? And you also want to put down that if they're accepted, what is their commitment? Totally important, okay? This sets the expectation for how people are going to show up in your program. So if accepted, your commitment includes showing up for all the content calls, taking responsibility for your results, letting me know if you're going to miss, whatever those things are, paying your fees on time, respecting my team, any of those those challenges that you run into with clients, you can pre-frame so that they don't happen and say, this is what your commitment is. Now, another important thing about the commitment section here, when you do this, it gives you the opportunity as well to go back to someone later. So, when people step into these programs, there can be some fear. When people hit their stuff like 3 months into the program, people often hit a wall around month 3 or month 4 when it's like it's time to actually do the work, okay? And when you have this section, your commitment includes if people are struggling with their commitments or people aren't honoring their commitments, you can go back to the letter and say, hey, so when you stepped into this program, these were the commitments. I haven't had to do that very often, but I've had to a couple of times. So having those qualifications and characteristics and then the commitments will totally pre-frame, and it will cut down on the number of challenges you do have, really supports people in getting success in your program, and when things do come up, you can come back to it. Okay? All right. All righty. All right, and then you tell them again how and why to apply. And this is a real, at the end, this is like your kind of wrap-up paragraph. This is a very, very kind of emotional, calling forward call to action. And in this section as well, you can remind them what gets to happen for them. What is that transformation when they make that commitment? Okay? And then I like to complete my letters with an about me page, like about your mentor, Elizabeth Purvis. That's great. And then the last piece of your application, in your letter will be the application. You'll have, if you're going to give the investment options in your letter, you'll put that in there. And you don't always have to include the investment options. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Again, it depends. I'll talk more about that in a second. And if you are doing the investment option, you have a credit card form, ask for complete credit card information and an agreement. So if you're not including the investment, a lot of times the letter and application will just end with the application. Okay? And in that application, you also want to ask for contact information and the questions. So let's talk a little bit about the application. All right. You always want to ask your clients to complete the application. And the reason why is because it will clarify for them why they need to take action. And you'll see, so in my sample applications, you'll see this, like all of those questions are designed to really help someone understand why now is the time. The application questions deepen the value in your program and also helps them really see exactly what can happen for them, what will shift when they invest in themselves. And it gets them really excited. Now, I like to design the application to do two things. Number one, screen for the right candidates, obviously. And number two, add massive value. So all these questions, in the same way that having a breakthrough session or an enrollment conversation with somebody can really create value by helping people get present to what needs to change, filling out that application is in and of itself transformative for people. And I love this. I can't tell you how many times I've had people fill out the application, and they even say in the application, like, I don't know if I'm ready to step into this or whatever, but I'm so glad that I filled out that application because I've already had a breakthrough, right? What a gift to give somebody, right? Okay. So here are the kind of questions that you want to ask. So in the application, you have very specific questions that you want to ask. You always want a snapshot of their current situation. So for me, it's like, how long have you been in business? Your list size, what do you do, and how do you help people, that kind of thing. You want to get a snapshot of their history. So where have they been successful or not been successful? What are the things you're most proud of? What are your biggest challenges? You want to find out what they want to achieve in the next 6 to 12 months, 12 months, right? What are the changes that they want to make? You also want to include questions that really get to the heart of, are you prepared to fully commit to the program and to the investment? That's huge. Are you ready to make this investment of time, energy, and money? Huge, huge, huge. And you always want to ask people if they see that they're responsible, if they see themselves as responsible for creating their own results. So you'll see all this. You can model my questions in my applications. And you also want to ask yourself as you're designing yours, what do you want to predetermine? What I found when I really started doing this is that the most frustrating situation for me is when someone would fill out the application and we would get to the end and they would say, oh, I'm already working with a coach or mentor. I'm like, well, so what are we sitting here having this conversation for? I mean, really. So I started asking people, do you have a coach or mentor? And even if they said yes, that wasn't always a deal breaker, not at all. But I wanted to be aware of it. You also want to ask them, is there anything standing in their way of taking powerful action to move forward? Time, money, previous commitments. Is there anything standing in their way of you taking that powerful action to move forward? This is kind of a do you have the money question. And again, not necessarily a deal breaker. I mean, a lot of people will say, oh, I'm not sure about the investment, whatever. But you can definitely get a feeling for how people are thinking. And some people will be really, really clear that they're not the right fit for that, at that point for whatever reason. Okay. So a couple bonus tips here. No matter what lead generation event that you choose, you want to have that deadline. The deadline to apply, a deadline by which they can fill out that application. You also want to encourage people to fill out that application. And you want to say, filling out this application is in and of itself transformative. And you want that to be immensely valuable to them, whether they join your program or not. You also want to make sure that you put down, and you'll see this modeled for you in the examples, that filling out the application does not obligate them to the program. All right, really important. You want people to feel really safe in filling out that application. And I talked a little bit about numbers. Now, when you send out the email, you get people requesting the application. Of those requesting the application, you'll get about 20% of those people actually filling it out. So don't be discouraged if you see a lot of people downloading and fewer people sending it back. That's perfectly normal. All right? And as I said before, the people who do fill it out, who do get it back to you, they'll be really highly qualified. Okay? Finally, you want to always make sure that you've got an assistant helping you, a platinum assistant. And I'll talk more about that in the next session. Okay, but you're not doing this by yourself. Remember, you are the coach, mentor, practitioner, healer, leader, teacher. All right? So you always want to have someone taking care of these details for you. Very, very important for your credibility. You've got someone doing the screening, someone's collecting the applications, all that. So here's a question that often comes up. What do you do when people aren't qualified? So you get the application back, and it's clear they're not qualified. What do you do? Do you have the interview or not? And truthfully, it's up to you. It's up to you. When I was just starting out, I would actually talk to people, and I would be really honest with them about it. I would start out by giving a really heartfelt acknowledgement. So I would say something like, it's clear that you're really passionate, and I see you're up to amazing things, and I can tell that you're doing a lot of work or you're headed in the right direction. Like really sincere acknowledgement. Because if someone filled out that application, there's something there, right? And I love to honor that. So some sort of sincere acknowledgement. And then I say, I don't think this program is going to be a fit for you, and here's why. Now, you want to be really sensitive to someone's feelings, and you want to be honest with them. Because, again, remember that the mindset here is about being of service. So I would always say, so here's an example. It's like if they're newer in business, and they're still in that place of niche, decision, whatever, I know that it's not going to be the right fit. So I would say something, well, you're newer in business, and really when I work with people one-on-one, it's with people who are a little bit further along most of the time, something like that, all right? So for myself, if people are still having a hard time making decisions, I'm not going to be able to support them until they're ready to do that. So I would say something like, it's really important to me that I set you up for success in this program, and I need to see X, Y, Z before you step into it. I would love to see you have a few more things in place because I want to see you be successful. And I actually said that to somebody, and she was like on it. So I was very honest, and she came back and signed up. She was a private client within like 6 months, but she went and did everything I told her to do. All right. Now let's say you get an application back and it's kind of superficial, like they haven't put any effort into it. Then you can have your assistant call and say, either it's not a good fit or the spots are filled. Now here's what you want to be clear about. You do not, let me give you permission, okay? You do not have to have an interview with somebody if it's not going to be a good use of your time. You do not have to have a breakthrough session with somebody if it's not going to be a good use of your time. And you do not have to explain, all right? Okay, a couple other tips about kind of the launching, and then we'll go into the interview, all right? Now, one thing I really recommend from your own, perspective of your cash flow and planning your calendar and those kinds of things, I highly recommend enrolling a whole bunch of people at once. So all of these strategies here are in support of you filling like 3, 5, or even 10 slots in a short period of time. And that's the mindset that you want to have, all right, because that's where you get a little bit of leverage. You have a big boost of clients. You can batch your time, all right, so you can enroll several people all at once. Another question I often get is, how much time do you want to give yourself to fill the spots? And some of this depends on whether you're asking them to travel. So if you're asking them to travel, I would say give yourself 2 to 2.5 months. And if not, because people need time to get their travel together, okay? If not, I would even say like a month to 6 weeks. Now these are general guidelines. There's no hard and fast rule here. The key is to not lose momentum, all right? It takes a lot of energy to fill a program. You want to make it easy on yourself. And also, when you are filling that program, especially if you're filling a whole bunch of spots, like in a group program, and you need to get that program full before you start, it can really help to have some kickstart benefits in there to keep the people engaged, and to keep that momentum going. All right. Now, if you're doing that, you choose kickstart benefits that people who are later can easily do later. All right. So they're not missing out. Like if they missed the kickstart benefits, they can go back and do them. So in my Forgotten Business School this year, for example, we had a kickstart, couple of kickstart workshops. One was on niche, and one was on the enrollment conversation. And those were really important, but it's not like people were behind if they didn't do them, if they came in late. Okay? Now, if you don't have a big list, what are your 2 methods that you want to use? If you don't have a big list, hand inviting and speaking are the way to go. Okay? And when you're doing hand inviting, you can think of past clients, you can think of current clients, and referral partners. If you have referral partners, you can do a referral thank you. 10% for services is really common, or you can do a flat fee, like $500 or $600. Okay? All right. So let's talk about the interview. We'll talk a little bit about mindset again here. Again, where we get back to that mindset of choosing, and this is important. If they are not a fit for your program, you don't want them as a client, right? It's not that you don't want them, but like they're not the right client for you, and that's okay. They're meant to work with somebody else if they're not the right fit, right? That is what you're really looking for. Whenever you're screening people, that's ultimately what you're looking for, all right? You're always asking yourself that question, is this a fit? Are they a match for your program? Are they a match for you? And if it's truly not the right fit, on they go to work with somebody else. Now, this takes you out of desperation mode and, again, puts you in that place of being at choice, all right? And there's another real important thing to this. I really come from the belief that it's not fair to accept people who are not a fit. I have a really high standard for this, by the way, in case it's not completely obvious. More so, I think it's one of the things that sets me apart, and it has served me in my business very, very well to only take clients who are a perfect fit, right? It's a commitment I have to them and myself. And it's not fair to accept people. So, you'll be talking to a lot of people who are at different places on their journey. And for some people, they're still going to have things standing in their way. You're always looking for, are there any obstacles to them moving forward powerfully? And that really holding the belief and that looking for these things and sticking to your standards and sticking to your criteria, you're being of highest service. So what are some of those criteria that you're looking for? What does it mean to be a fit? Well, I like to see that they have everything that they need in place to be successful. So some of this is energetic. Like, it's not just about what's going on in their business, right? For my high-end clients, I do like to see a certain business things be in place, all right? Another big one is, are they willing to make decisions? Are they able and willing to make decisions? If people can make decisions, they can move forward very quickly. So I need to see that they need to have in place to be successful. Also, for me, their environment. Is their environment set up so they're able to move forward? All right? So your criteria might be a little different, but you're looking for, are there any obstacles to them really having success? All right? I need to see people have supportive people in their environment. All right? I always ask questions about their family life. All right? I always ask questions if they have the support of their partner, because that can be a very difficult place to be if you don't have support of your partner. All right? Common problem, right? My husband doesn't want me to invest anymore in my business. Right? That's conflict, okay? I also need to know that it's their decision and that they can make the decision for themselves. A couple of other criteria that I use, and you can borrow these if they're supportive to you. I need for people to be able to be participating fully. So if I'm filling a group program, it means being there on the calls and participation in the live retreats. And, participation in the email group. I did a group last year, a small, 8-person mastermind, and I was really clear with every person, I expect you to be on the calls live, and if you're not there on the calls live, I expect you to tell us where you are. And I've been in programs where that's been true. Like my mentor has said, you're on the call live or you're telling us where you are, right? Really important to the success of the entire group. So participating fully. Another criteria is, are they willing to honor the financial commitment? I need to hear that it's not going to be an issue for them. I set the expectation that if people are paying via payments, that they're liable for the entire program, that they're making a commitment to pay for the entire program. Another criteria is, are they taking responsibility for their own learning? I listen very, very closely for disempowering language. A huge red flag for me personally is someone who has invested a lot with coaches but hasn't gotten the results that they want. People who blame coaches or mentors for their failures. If I hear a lot of I did that and it didn't work, that's a huge red flag. All right? And this is important because people's patterns don't shift dramatically. Okay? This is just something I've seen, and it might seem like a little bit of tough love, and I know that many of you who are listening are grateful that I'm bringing this up because we've all had the experience of working with people who are stuck in their stuff and just can't get through it, right? Okay. And along those same lines, I like to see evidence that people have achieved some success in the past. Of course, they may be stuck. That's fine. People step into programs to get a different outcome, to get a transformation because it's they're stuck and they need help. No problem. Big difference between being stuck and enrolling in a program because you're committed to changing your reality and that being stuck and never getting anywhere. All right? Okay. So again, you can hear this all gets back to, where might there be an obstacle? What might be getting in their way? This is not about, prove it to me. That's not the energy here, okay? And you can hear that it really pays to be discriminating with the people that you take on as clients. I know, again, get back to that mindset of choosing. I know that can seem weird when you don't have enough clients or whatever, but this is a mindset that will serve you very, very well. All right? Very, very well. It's going to help you move through the stage of not having clients much quicker. All right? All right. Another reason why this is important is because your client successes translates into success and more business for you. When clients are successful, they come back for more. They tell their friends. You know, they experience a transformation. That's so gratifying, right? So you want to choose clients who are going to be set up for success. Okay, so let's talk about the critical part of a conversation you must never weenie out on. Okay? You guys have heard me talk about this before, so this will be a reminder. You have to get very clear with them in the interview, in that application, the whole 9 yards. What is the problem? You know, what are the things that they're struggling with? Why is it a problem? What further problems is it causing for them, right? And the cost of not getting it solved. All the way back to core offer again. What is that problem? What are they struggling with? What is the cost of it not getting solved? You need to know what that is, and they need to know what that is. Because without that, there's no saying yes. Like, they don't have any reason to work with you. All right? If you don't know why it's important, and they don't know why it's important, you're going to hear, I can't afford it. Okay? So really get clear on the challenges, you know, that problem, and what is the cost of not getting it solved. So let's go over the interview process here. And in your handouts, you're going to have a set of interview questions. And you can start with these, and you're going to want to add your own. Also in your handouts, you have a template for a breakthrough session. A breakthrough session, like actually leading breakthrough sessions, a whole other training. It's a whole training in and of itself. But I wanted to give you enough to get you started. So if you are doing breakthrough conversations, you do have leading to an application or leading to offering your program, you do have a template there that you can follow. All right? So a word on time here. If you're interviewing, be clear about the amount of time that you want to spend. I like to set aside 30 minutes. And again, if you are, giving people a letter and an application up front, you're not going to be asking them as many questions in the interview. All right? And remember that Platinum isn't about huge quantities of time. It's about, getting people the result that they want. It's about achievement. So be clear on how much time you want to spend in the interviews. And this is not hard and fast, right? But you want to have an idea of what that is. Okay? Set some boundaries there. Okay. Also, remember that as you go through the interview, you are modeling for them being their coach or being their mentor or being their teacher. Even if they haven't stepped into the program yet, you're modeling that right away. So you'll see on your handout the questions, and I always like to start out. You always want to, whether you're doing a breakthrough conversation or an interview, you always want to start by creating rapport, right? Creating some rapport like, oh, I was so happy to get your application, some very, very small amount of rapport and connection. And then you want to establish yourself as the leader, right? You want to take the leadership reins. And so what I like to do is explain exactly what's going to happen. I say, it's great to connect with you. I was thrilled to receive your application. Here's how our conversation will flow. Right? You hear that? Here's how the conversation will flow. I have a few questions for you based on your application. You'll have the opportunity to ask me questions. And if you're accepted into the program, we'll cover payment options and next steps. Lays it all out and establishes who is leader in the conversation. Okay? Really, really important. I always like to ask, what made you decide to apply? What attracted you to the program? Why did you decide to apply? That's a great way to open the conversation because they're going to talk about the challenge most likely. All right? They're going to talk about what it is that they want to get out of it. And then you prompt them. You talk a little more. If you're accepted, what do you see yourself getting out of it? What do you want to get out of this? Really important to establish that. And then why is that important to you? So why is that important to you? What are you doing there? You're uncovering the value. You're uncovering, what are the challenges and why is it important to you? And then I like to always ask, okay, what has stopped you from getting that result in the past? So what's been getting in your way? And in the answer to that question, you can go into the cost. Right? So what's stopping you? Well, if this were resolved, what would you have instead? Okay? If this were resolved, how many more clients would that be for you? If this was resolved, how many hours of your time would be freed up? Okay? Just a couple of questions, but establishes exactly what you need to know. All right? Then I like to ask about the family and support system. So do you have a husband or business partner? How do they feel about you stepping into the program? If you're accepted into the program, do you have the support of your family at home? Really important. And then you go over what are you going to cover in the program and the results that they can expect. And you want to keep this brief. You don't have to go into depth, but you want to cover the outcomes of the program. I also like to ask, was there anything in the letter you didn't understand? Do you understand how the program works? Then here's something really important, okay? Here's the next. This is kind of a ninja question. Other than the investment, which we'll get to in a minute, what questions do you have about the program that you'd need to know before deciding to say yes? So obviously, if you have the investment in your letter, you're not going to ask this. But if you don't, they're going to want to know, what's the price? What's the price, right? Take that off the table and find out if they have any other questions. So other than the investment, which we'll get to in a minute, what questions do you have about the program? And then, they'll ask, and you say, and then you either say, let's assume that it's a fit. So you say, I'd like to welcome you to the program. Let me go through all the program includes so you know what to expect. And you present your payment options. You ask, which of these is going to be a fit for you. And then you'll see there's languaging in there. You'll see in the script there's languaging about offering the empowered decision savings. And then you explain to them exactly what's going to happen next, exactly how they'll get started. So for me, I like to say, your first step is to process your deposit. That's going to secure your spot in the program. If you're ready, I'm happy to take your payment information so we can get your deposit processed and secure your spot. This secures your fast action savings. We'll also send you your enrollment form. All right? All right, so definitely look that over, and it's a place for you to start. And you're going to find, as you give your interviews, your process might be slightly different than mine. That's okay. All right? But this is a good place. This is a tried and true kind of order of operations that works really, really well. All right? So let me dive into the quick decision savings here for a second, because this is super controversial. All right? I like to call it the empowered decision savings too. This is a vehicle to support you in getting them to make a decision on the spot. Now, some people get really upset about this. They feel that it's pushy. My belief is that it's of highest service to them to make that empowered decision. And a couple reasons why. Number one, people will not make a decision without a reason. People don't decide without a reason. It's just the way it is, This is human nature we're dealing with here. And people spend an enormous amount of time and energy in a state of indecision, of thinking about it. Last year in one of my programs, we had an awesome conversation about this. My client, Amy, she told me, she's like, I was really upset about it at first. And I was also immediately grateful. She said, I was grateful because I know that I would have backed out. I know I would have backed out. And I'm glad I didn't. All kinds of things unfolded for her. She said, you held me to that decision, and I'm so grateful that you did. All right? Couple of other things to know here. Number one, any kind of fast action savings is not going to quote unquote work on someone who is not ready to say yes anyway. For the person who's on the fence, it's not going to have any impact. It's not for the person on the fence. It's for the person who wants to enroll. And if they don't take you up on it, that's fine. They can take all the time they need. All right? They just need to understand that the investment is going to be higher and the program is likely to fill up. And again, remember that people need need a reason to make decisions. They just do. And again, I truly believe that it's not in their service to them for them to be thinking about it. Also for you, this is really important. You need to have an answer. Are they in or are they out? You are filling a program. This is your business. You cannot be carrying around people's indecisiveness. Having them think about it, kind of spin their wheels, whatever, it puts you in the position of waiting. You both need to know what the decision is so you can move on. Now, what I would suggest you do is just try it out both ways. And because you really have to be able to stand behind what you do. You can hear how passionate I am about this. What I would invite you to do is to take on some of these mindsets I'm sharing with you, to release the fear of like, oh, this is pushy, oh, this is manipulative. It's not pushy or manipulative, especially when you are giving people a lot of information up front. This is another reason why I do a letter and application. This is not like coming out of left field. You're not asking them to make it, it's not like you met someone 20 minutes ago and you're asking them to invest $10,000 with you. That would be pushy or manipulative, okay? You have gone through an entire process that's very carefully designed to support people in changing their life, all right? Huge, huge, huge. With that letter and application, they've had time to think about it. They're not seeing the program for the first time, all right, over the phone. Also, another thing, that actually reminds me of something I like to put in the letter and the application. In that application, I actually ask people, do they have a spouse or a business partner who will be involved in the decision-making process? Because people often have spouses and partners that are involved in the decision-making process. And I ask my potential client to show them the letter and the application before they turn it in. Hugely, hugely helpful. So you'll actually see some of the languaging and some of the samples I have for you. Do you have a spouse or partner who will be involved in making this decision? If so, please show this letter and application to them before you apply. Saves a lot of headache. I will tell you. And again, it's also about valuing your time because these things take time. These conversations take time. You really want to support people in being able to go through the process seamlessly, and that includes you. All right? Okay. So what to say if it's not a fit? I know, lots of information. How you guys doing? All right. Now, if it's not a fit, you want to let people know. All right? You want to start with acknowledgement. So it's clear you're really passionate. It's clear that you've done a lot of work. It's clear that you're really sincere, whatever it is. Based on what you're telling me, I hear that this is really important to you. And I also can tell that this is not going to be the right program for you. So there's two places where this might come up, right? During the screening process or once you're in the interview process and, you're actually talking to them on the phone. This doesn't happen very often. Like 9 times out of 10 when they're on the phone, it's a fit, okay? But, if it's not a fit, just be really upfront and say, I can hear this is important to you, and I know this isn't going to be the right program for you. So some things that come up, possibilities. So what I've seen, I might say something like, it sounds like you have other issues in your life that need your attention right now. Or it sounds like I'm going to have expectations of you that you're not going to be comfortable meeting. Or here's what I like to see first. And again, I said that to one woman. I gave her a really specific list of things to do. And 3 months later, she quit her job, and we were working together privately. All right? Now, let's say it's not a fit, but something else would be. You can say, based on what you're telling me, I actually don't think this particular program is the best fit for you. But I have something else that I think would be perfect. All right? People so appreciate this. And I've actually even said to people, I've said, based on what you're telling me, I don't think this is going to be a fit for you, but here's what would be a fit for you. You need to go work privately with so-and-so. I've said that when I'm filling group programs. And I know that the person isn't ready for a group program. I've sent them in the direction of a really awesome private coach. Right? Hugely of service for people. And your karma is just off the charts when you do that, okay? So what do you say when it clearly is a fit? Get really passionate about it. Say, this is a perfect fit for you, and here's why. Share what you see them getting out of it. Here's what I see for you. If you're filling a group, you can say, here's what I think you would bring to the program. Show people how they'll make a contribution to the greater good of the group and to the other participants. People love that. Like there's a hidden fear when you're filling a group that, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to support other people in the group? Am I going to be the one who's the most behind? Everyone else sounds more advanced than me. They're more this or that. I'm not ready. So you can let people know who is in and what they're up to and how your candidate, how your potential client is going to contribute to the learning of others. Like really help them see, like, oh, this is a perfect fit. Here's the other people we have in the group, and here's why you'll fit right in. All right. One more last little piece of content here. And, wow, I went through this a lot more quickly than I thought I would. Okay. Really great stuff. This is my favorite call, I think. All right. So how to gracefully transition your people to your new program without losing them. All right. I promise to share that. How do you transition your current clientele to your new high-end model without losing them or leaving them behind? This is a common concern that comes up. People have been working, let's say you've been working with a clientele and you've been working one-on-one in the old way. How do you move people into the new way in a way that's really supportive? So let's talk for a second about leaving people behind. This is a huge fear. I completely understand, and of course, you don't want to give up on people that you care about, right? Well, what I know from experience is that many of them will come with you as you step into this new way of working. Many of them want to come with you. They see that you're stepping up and they want to come along. Now, some of them will complete, and that's okay. Some of them will move into your lower investment options. That's okay. One really powerful belief that I invite you to take on, and especially if you've got boundaries issues or, you feel like you need to save the whole world, I invite you to take on the belief that people will get what they need. People always get what they need. This is a belief based in truth, right? People always get what they need. People are going to get their needs met. And it doesn't have to be by you. You don't have to be the one meeting everybody's needs. Now, what you find is that drop-off is actually very little. And because your fees are higher, you'll be making more than you were before. And you also have space in your schedule to create the different options that can be of service to many more people. All right. So one of my clients, my past client, Sharon, she was really concerned about this. She's a marketing coach to craniosacral therapists. And she has a very tight community. And her program was a huge jump in investment. And, she was going from charging a few $100s per month to, it was the equivalent of more than double her old fee. She got 9 clients right off the bat. And some people did complete. So 9 clients. Some people did complete. And it was okay. It was actually natural. Most people stepped right into it. So here's how you make the transition. Here's what you want to do. The first thing you can do, and you can do this at any time, is decide that you're not going to take clients, like any new clients, any more clients, in the old way. So you say, as of now, the old way is complete. The old way is past, right? Then you take a look and see when people are completing their current work, and you come up with a date for them, a new date by which they'll either complete or they'll be transitioned to the new way. And then you simply have a conversation, and you want this conversation to be really expansive and positive and exciting, to really feel generous. Again, like you're giving them this beautiful opportunity, right, which you are. So you want to lead with the positive. You can say something like, well, we've been working together for however long, and in that time, we've accomplished A, B, and C. Well, I'm very excited about a new program that I've created. It's a new way of working that allows me to work with select clients in an accelerated way to achieve XYZ. And I won't be making this invitation to everyone, but when I thought about this program and who would be perfect for it, you came to mind. So would you like to hear more about it? Really? Right? What does it sound like? Hand inviting. Okay. Then share with them about your program, and you want to be sure to focus on the benefits and why you know it's perfect for them. Like, why them? And be really sincere. Why do you want them? Again, people will feel chosen, and they feel really, really cared for. Then you want to give them their options. Then you say you can either complete when your current contract is up or step into the program. And if you have any other options like group programs, something you can offer that as well. But you give them that choice, and you tell them by when. Very simple. And then give them if they want to step into the Platinum program, then you have them go through the application process. All right? Super simple. You can see how simple this is. All right. So let's see here. We've covered a lot. I just want to complete here by giving you a little checklist of do's and don'ts. Okay? Kind of sum it all up. Do's and don'ts. So don't accept a client who isn't truly a fit. It's been the theme throughout our call today. It's got to be a fit. You are looking for people who are best suited to get amazing results. Do have your criteria and stick to them. Who are those clients? What are your criteria? Don't deviate, okay? Stick to them. Always use words like investment instead of price. Right? Remember, this is an investment. Do always uncover what your client wants and why it's important to them. And invite your clients to make a commitment right there on the phone or within a very short window of time. This is something I forgot to mention when we were talking about empowered decision savings. My clients in the past, it's like I've had them try it both ways, right on the phone or a 24-hour decision-making window. And honestly, it's totally, some people on the phone works better, some people the 24 hours works better. And you'll figure that out, after you've tried it a couple times. Both of those are fine. The point is that you want to give people a reason to say yes right away. Right? Do model the Platinum coach, practitioner, or healer that you are during that interview or enrollment conversation. And finally, do get into action, fail fast, and pay attention to the no's. When people are saying no, why are they saying no? All right? No is not a bad thing. No is great feedback for you. And when you start to do this and you fail fast, you get feedback, you can totally make the shifts and the course corrections. Okay? All right, so your simple homework assignments for this class are to choose your method of launching your program. So what's your method of launching the program? Which of the 4 methods are you going to use? And by when? All right? Put your launch on the calendar and get into action. And then your second assignment is to hand invite at least 3 people. So no matter what you do, no matter which of those strategies that you choose, you're also going to hand invite, okay, and get into conversations. I would love to see you have 3 conversations within the next 7 days. How cool would that be? All right? You can do it. If you need make that 10 days, you can make that 10 days. But the point is that you want to offer your program as quickly as possible because I want to see you all getting new clients. All right, so that completes our call for today. And woohoo. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stay on. We do have a few minutes here until 1:30, and I'm happy to stay on and answer any questions you may have. Let's take a few questions. I know that there's a lot of information and you have really specific questions, so if you do have a question, go ahead and press star 2. Star 2 if you have a question, and I can unmute you. Star 2 if you have a question. All right. I think I've unmuted Tammy. Have I?
Hi, Elizabeth.
Hey, woohoo! How are you, sweetie?
Great. How are you doing?
Awesome. Thank you. Great to hear your voice.
Thank you. My question is around the investment. Listing it on the letter, what are the instances that you think would be a good idea to list the investment in that invitation letter, or the circumstances where you wouldn't?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, absolutely. And actually, hang on one second here. When to do it versus when not to do it. Hold on a second. All right. again, it depends. One thing to know is that when you do put the investment on there, you are likely going to get a lower response. And that can be a good thing, though, because people know the investment ahead of time. Like it's up front, it's out there.
Mm-hmm.
If you are just starting out and you need to get experience having conversations, having, being in that place of asking people for the business, I would definitely not put the investment on there. And also think about your clients. Are they going to take themselves out if they see that investment? Some
mm-hmm.
people are kind of more inclined to do that. Now, in the case where you would consider doing it, I did it when I filled the Leverage and Leadership program for the first time because I knew, I have a bigger community. I knew I would have a lot of people applying, and I knew that if I didn't screen people in that way, I would be talking to countless peeps.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have some momentum in your business and you've got a bigger community and you want to really, really only be talking to the people who are really and truly serious, that's a perfect opportunity to do it.
Okay, great.
And yeah, you're welcome. And then I'll just say, if you are, again, most of you aren't going to be offering your programs from the stage at like a 2-day workshop, but if you are doing that, obviously you put it on you put it in there that time. Make sense?
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, great question. Okay. Any other questions? *2 if you have a question. *2. I will check over on the webcast as well. Oh, hang on one second. Oh, wow. Look at all this. All right, we got some great questions here. All righty. What about having the application agreement live on your site? That is from Janet. What about having the application? You can have the application so this is from Janet, and Janet is asking, what about having the application and agreement live on your site? You can definitely have information on your program live on your site, and then it's up to you whether you want to have people be able to download it right then and there. I don't see anything wrong with that. I've done that. Like if you go to marketinggoddess.com/VIP, that's kind of like my evergreen opportunity for people to work with me. It's a 90-day program, and the letter is right there live on the site, and people can download the application right then and there. So yeah, you can definitely do that. And you can do that and then still also have a little launch campaign to drive people to it. Okay. So even if you have it live on your site all the time, I would still plan a launch to generate some interest, to generate some people raising their hands. All righty. Put back over here. *2 if you have a question. No questions, that's okay. All right. So Diva Carla asks, in the application for high-end programs, will it include the investment, payment options, or request for card info, or is it it depends? Hopefully we answered that. It depends. There are definitely cases where you want to have the investment, and as I was sharing with Tammy, the best time for that is, it is another way to pre-qualify people. It's really what it gets down to. And if you want to, if you want to be talking only to people who, on the phone, who know that that's the investment, then you could include it. Again, the key thing with that when you're including the investment in your letter is that you have the letter be incredibly rich in benefits and outcomes. Your letter has to be really, really solid, okay, also, because you have to, the idea here, so let's go back to the principle, the idea is that you don't want to present the investment until you have really built the value and people know what it is they're getting, right? And Tammy, this goes for you as well. This is basically more on the same question. So you want to make sure that that letter goes really into detail as to who it's for, what they'll get, and why. Like, why now? All right. Great question. All right, we've got one more question, one more hand raised. This will be our last one. All right, last four digits, 4021 from California. Who am I speaking with?
Hi, Elizabeth. It's Irene.
Hey, how are you?
Irene Blinston.
Hi.
Hi. I am curious to expand on the question that was asked about the application being online.
Sure.
I was thinking that what this person was asking, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'd like to know myself, is actually having the application online where they submit it, like, well, you're a techie person, like it's in PHP, and it submits into an SQL database.
Oh, sure.
And then you can download that information so that everything is done online.
Yeah,
electronically.
Yeah. So what Irene is asking, and I've seen people do this, they actually have the application online where you're typing in the answers to the questions and hitting submit, and it's going, it's being sent to you in an email or whatever. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yes.
I've not done it that way, and honestly, I can't speak to it authoritatively without having tested it myself. The reason why I haven't done it that way is because are people going to sit there and actually type in the answers online like that? This is totally like there's no rhyme or reason here.
Okay.
I personally I would much rather have people, get it like in an email and type in the answers in an email. It may be just because mentally speaking, I would not want to make people go through the extra step of having to kind of like think about putting their answers in a separate document and saving that so they don't lose them in case something happens. Like that's the thing that always comes up in my mind. It's like, well, what about the person who's typed in all these answers and then their computer crashes or something happens and they don't actually get to send it to you? Like that's really freaking frustrating, and I would be afraid that I would lose a person if that had that happen to them. So I'd rather have them have it in an email or have it, in a PDF or something where they have kind of more control over it. That's always been my reasoning. And I've never tested it. So the only way to know is to test it and see what happens. But that's why I personally haven't done it that way.
Okay, so that's the only reason, though, is the fear of them losing their information.
Yeah. And also, the second reason why is, and again, this is a question of style. I'm a writer. I like to see that people have given a lot of thought to those questions. And when I look at those little boxes, I go, how in-depth of an answer am I going to get? And that, for me personally, it's a qualifier. And also I want them to have a lot of value from filling out the application. So having it be short, I don't see that as much of a qualifier. Now there's, always the answer is it depends, and under certain circumstances, not having like at a live event. So for example, this is a real peek behind the curtain. At my live event this year, to do the essentials training for Goddess Business School, it was an application, but it was essentially just a series of check boxes. And that was okay because people are in the room, they can talk to me, the program had a lower investment. Like, I was fine without having like these big, long answers. But for a program where people are working with me personally and I want to know more about them before I accept them into the program, I like to have more detailed information. And for me, when I look at like the boxes that you fill out online, it doesn't really facilitate that. I know this is kind of fuzzy, but there you go. There's like my my reasoning. Is this helpful to hear?
Yeah, I mean, it's a matter of testing and who your people are, I suppose.
Absolutely. So, that's always what it gets down to. I mean, honestly, now it's so funny because I'm sitting here talking to you. I'm just like, you should just try it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to actually.
Yeah. Well, let me know how it works.
There are ways that, I mean, even like with online surveys, things like SurveyMonkey, where they can actually go back and continue. So I may try that, actually.
Sweet.
So thank you.
You're welcome. Awesome. Great question. Okay, and with that, we will complete. Woohoo. Remember, you can always ask me more questions on the Facebook page. I've been traveling a lot, so I haven't been over there as much, but I'm getting caught up on stuff, so feel free to send me questions on the Facebook page, and I will see you here next week for our final training call. All right, fantastic call. Bright blessings, everyone. I'll speak to you later. Bye-bye.